Industry is back for season 3, and it is better than ever, y'all. This is some of the best television I have ever seen in my life. In this video, we're going to dive into the episode that premiered last night, season 3, episode 3, titled It. But if you're just tuning in, Industry is a financial drama about investment bankers, traders, financial analysts, people across the financial sector in London who work for this global bank called Pierpoint, sort of the equivalent of a Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley. Now, when we last left off in season 2, there was a major betrayal between two of the show's main leads, Harper Stern and Eric Tao. During the first few seasons, Eric took Harper under his wing, and the two became super close. But in a shocking twist, season 2 ended with a finale where Eric completely betrayed Harper, stabbed her in the back in a way that left the fans absolutely on edge. We were shocked. Harper, who was once a Pierpoint superstar, has now been relegated to life as a personal assistant when we catch up with her again in season 3. Harper, who is one of the smartest, most manipulative, and crafty people on the show, is clawing her way up in a fund called Future Dawn, led by Anna Gearing, who cares a lot more about looking to be really PC, climate-friendly, ESG adaptive, when in reality, she wants to fly first class and wants the gains that come from betting on tried and true sinful industries like fossil fuels. I should pause and note that every figure on the show is unethical. This show is about people who work in the most evil industry in the world. Now, at Future Dawn, where Harper is really just a lowly personal assistant, this huge fall from grace has happened. She used to be like on a very important team at Pierpoint, and now she's relegated to scheduling the diary for Anna Gearing, her boss. But there's a woman named Petra, who is a seasoned stock picker for the fund. And Petra does not agree with the way the fund is really hyping up ESG. For those who don't understand finance, you can think of ESG as companies that have an environmental or social bend, companies that use clean energy, companies that are promising to do some moral and ethical good for the planet and also make the fund money. One company in particular, which is about to have its IPO, serviced through Pierpoint, is being spearheaded by the charismatic Sir Henry Muck, played by Kit Harington. You can think of him as a startup founder akin to Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs, except that he's a little bit more trust fund and a little bit less child genius. Now, Petra is like, I don't know why we're putting all of this money towards this Lumi company. What if it doesn't even turn out to do well? Like, I just don't think this is a good bet. It seems like the fundamentals are off. We were just on this call. It seems like they're overvaluing themselves. But Anna is like, no, this is what we're doing. And Harper, ever crafty, sees this as her in, and she starts talking with Petra about what she really thinks the fund should do. So while all of this is going down, we come back to Yasmin's plotline, and now Yasmin has been thrust into absolute public scandal because while we know from the first 2 seasons that she is the heiress to a major publishing fortune, so a lot of people don't even understand why she works at Pierpoint in the first place, right? She's like a millionaire many times over, and it has a huge trust fund. It doesn't make sense why she would want to do the grueling labor of working in a financial services firm, even though it pays a lot of money. But she's always kind of had this chip on her shoulder. She wants to prove that she is indeed smart, that she can prove herself, that she can hang with the big boys, and that being an heiress doesn't define her, that she is just as smart as anyone else. But when we meet back up with her in season 3, we learn that her really creepy dad, who is this publishing titan of the Hanani publishing fortune, that he's actually embezzled a lot of money. And so we meet up with them. They're on this yacht. She walks in and him in the sex scene. It's really just super gross. He is as crass and rude and horrible to her as he always is. But we learn from the paparazzi photos that are circulating that he has actually embezzled money and is kind of on the run, essentially. He's avoiding going back to the UK, and that all these people are trying to collect their debts. And naturally, Yasmin is a mess. I mean, this is a horrible situation to be in. Everyone at work is talking about her. When she comes to work, the new analyst on her desk, Sweet Pea Golightly, who's this famous social media influencer, this kind of corporate girl boss influencer person, she's like reading the paparazzi things on her computer. She's asking her really publicly about it, just like putting her in a weird position. And so all of this is going down. And then we meet up with Rob's character, who is also on this same desk, the same desk as Sweet Pea, the same desk as Yasmin. He's also Yasmin and Harper's roommate. He has been seeing this older woman who works in financial services as well. She's like at the MD level. She's like a millionaire many times over. And they have begun this kind of torrid affair. And after a steamy night together, in which he's cheating on his sweet girlfriend, who we love, who sadly wasn't in episode 3. Rishi also sadly wasn't in episode 3, but from the preview for next week, we know that next week is all about Rishi. But anyway, so he's cheating on his girlfriend and with this older woman, and then he wakes up and she's dead. And we have no idea what happened. And this huge like cliffhanger of that murder mystery has just been hanging over the show. They haven't addressed it yet. And so I don't know if they're going to, or if just the whole season we're going to be like, literally, what happened to her? I don't know if she was poisoned. I don't know if she did it to herself. I don't know if he did it when he was blacked out. Like, we just don't know. We have not been told yet. So all of this is going down while they are working with Sir Henry Muck to basically do the IPO for his new company called Lumi, which is this environmental services company. The same one that we were talking about earlier, the Harper's Fund that she's working for, is her boss, Anna Gehring, is putting her money into the stock shares, betting on that this company is going to be a success, and also tout that ESGs are financially beneficial and that they make money. But the launch is an absolute disaster. Not only do huge investors pull out, which totally spooks the market, but this guy is a complete hothead. He's getting into literal fistfights with Rob. He's cracking under the pressure. But luckily, Yasmin is able to use her intellect, her charm, and her knowledge about a fetish that he has from Sweet Pea's insider information, enough so that she is able to coax him out of his substance-induced detachment from the absolute shambles of the IPO, and she is able to stage a photo op where it looks like Otto M, who is like a huge investor who owns a bunch of newspapers, he's a billionaire, where it looks like he is going to be investing in Lumi. This is what this stage sort of photo op looks like that Yasmin has orchestrated. Now, because of that, the day is saved, but things still look really bad for this stock price because a lot of people are saying that it's overvalued. Huge investors have pulled out. This helped the stock cool down a little bit, but it's essentially not looking good, right? So the gang all board this private jet to Switzerland to go to this environmental conference that's kind of like Davos, but it's essentially for investors to look for ESGs that they think are going to make their funds money. Now remember, Harper was completely stabbed in the back by Eric last season, lost her job, had to basically completely start over. And she and Petra decide to go to this conference to poach the clients that Anna, their boss, is trying to get for the fund that they work for. You know, no one ever said Harper was ethical. I mean, she's got to do what she's got to do for the bag. So at this conference, it's an absolute disaster, as always. Yasmin is put in so many uncomfortable situations. She goes to these parties with all these investors, and there's this horrible, pretentious, rich dude who like is the heir to some fortune who's basically pestering her to hook up with him, and she rejects him, and then he like publicly says really off-putting remarks about her dad. There is the increasingly sexual tension that's brewing between these two, but there's also a lot of lines that Yasmin is really trying to keep boundary-wise. Like, she wants this to be a professional work thing, but she also is like, you know, they're flirting with each other. She's not really sure where she stands with him. And it gets to a point where she even screams at a function where he's like, I'm not keeping you here under work pretenses. And she's like, yes, you are. Like, I'm here under work pretenses. Like, she's really trying to keep the integrity of their professional relationship. But as we know from a steamy swimming pool scene in last night's episode, that is quickly unraveling, and they're getting closer and closer, especially after he bares his soul and tells her what I imagine would be like his biggest confession, because he's talking about this horrible thing that happened when he was a child. But anyway, so they're at this conference, and Eric is there to basically, this is Anna Gehring, by the way, the Anna I've been referring to throughout the episode being this TikTok video. But anyways, so Eric is there on behalf of the bank to basically kind of like ease the worries around this. So he's on this panel with Anna and then also with Sir Henry Muck. And he's basically like, everything's fine. You guys are crazy. Like, we have nothing to worry about. Look at this awesome CEO over here. Don't even worry about this share price. Like, things are going great. Petra's in the audience, and she and Harper basically had this sort of weird altercation earlier where she was like, I think we're making a mistake making our fund. Like, let's just go back to London, pretend we never did this. But Harper is really crafty, and she sees her opportunity, and she's going to take it. She's been plotting from the moment these two got together. She knows what she's doing. And she asks a question in the audience where she basically says that Eric Tao's character, she basically says that the bank is like putting him out there. He's completely redundant, that this is a total sham that they're doing, and that also their own bank has just issued a hold on the stock price of Lumi, showing that it's basically going to be a sell because they're the chief people underwriting the IPO, and essentially like everything's over, and this is indeed a funeral, referring to the previous guy's question. And she also announces during that question that she is doing the fund that these two cooked up, but that Petra said she didn't want to do anymore. Basically publicly saying in front of the world that it is indeed happening. And in a shock twist, okay, I actually have so much more to say, but we're about to run out of time in 19 seconds. When we get back, I'm going to talk about why Harper decided to call the fund Leviathan. We're going to talk about those lines from King Lear that Otto M was quoting. Like, we got a lot of stuff to cover, so stay tuned because we're going to be coming back.